May I begin by commending the Russian-Canadian Democratic Alliance for convening this very special evening of remembrance and reflection, of bearing witness, and most important, of taking action. We meet in the immediate aftermath of the Day of the Endangered Lawyer. We meet where there are more lawyers endangered in different regions around the world than ever before, but in particular, amidst a resurgent global authoritarianism where in Putin's Russia, we are experiencing the apex of the endangered lawyer. And Putin knows that the most dangerous thing is not only to imprison the lawyer who is defending the political prisoner, but to isolate them, to quarantine them, to ensure that they are forgotten, to ensure that they are abandoned. And that is why this evening is so important. And I want to pay tribute to those lawyers in Russia standing up for political prisoners at the cost of themselves being targeted, of not only being targeted, but being harassed and intimidated, of being disciplined and disbarred, of being persecuted and prosecuted, of being detained and imprisoned, of suffering forced exile, and the worst, of being the targets of assassination. And so we are here this evening to speak on behalf of those who cannot be heard, to bear witness on behalf of those who cannot testify, to act on behalf of those who are putting not only their livelihood, but indeed their lives on the line. And I remember tonight, where over 50 years ago, I acted as counsel for imprisoned dissident at the time, Anatoly Sharansky, who would tell me years later, after his release from prison, that the worst thing was for the political prisoner to believe that he was abandoned. And I myself experienced in a short few moments what the lawyers of today are experiencing. When I myself went in Russia to defend Anatoly Sharansky, was arrested, detained, interrogated, and expelled from the Soviet Union under false charge of espionage and the like. But as I say, it was a glimpse into what lawyers of today are experiencing as an ongoing condition of the endangered lawyer. And as we meet today in Putin's Russia, there are more political prisoners than even in the days of Stalin's former Soviet Union. And there are more lawyers being endangered than in the days of Stalin in the former Soviet Union. And so at this point, it is critical for us to remember not only the Anatoly Sharanskys, not only the Vladimir Kara-Murzas, who was astonishingly charged years later with the exact same trumped up charges of Anatoly Sharansky, namely that of treason and anti-Soviet then, or anti-Russian slander today. Sharansky has been freed. Vladimir Kara-Murza has been freed. But as we meet tonight, there are 120 political prisoners and their lawyers who are not only languishing in prison, but gravely ill. They include, for example, Alexander Gorinov, who's imprisoned, denied medical care, gravely ill for nothing else but seeking justice for Ukraine. They include Mary Bonsler, a brave and courageous Russian lawyer who has stood up and acted in defense of these political prisoners, but who herself is now languishing gravely ill. And they include the 120 political prisoners and their lawyers who we not only remember this evening, who we not only bear witness on their behalf this evening, but on whose behalf we must act in solidarity so that they know that they are not alone, so that they know that they are not abandoned. It may be nothing else but a letter sent to the political prisoner, or a letter sent to their jailers, or any act that shows that we are not a bystander to injustice, but we will stand up for justice, for truth, for the rule of law, all of which is under assault today in Putin's Russia, where the political prisoners are the first line, the first targets of that assault, and where their lawyers are the continuing targets of the assault on truth and justice, the whole in a culture of impunity. So I salute you all who have come this evening to stand in solidarity. And let us ensure that this is not just a one-time gathering, but that we will continue to remember, to bear witness, to act, to let the 120 know that they are not alone, and that we will continue to be with them in solidarity, in common cause, in the pursuit of justice, in the pursuit of freedom. Thank you.